Good afternoon. My name is Jason Chavez, and I'm the chair of the Committee of the Whole. I'm going to call to order our regular committee meeting for Tuesday, April 29, 2025. Before we begin the meeting, I want to offer a friendly reminder to all members, staff, and the public that these meetings are broadcast live to enable greater public participation. These broadcasts include real-time captioning as a further method to increase the accessibility of our proceedings to the community. Therefore, all speakers need to be mindful of the rate of their speech so that our captioners can fully capture and transcribe all comments for the broadcast. We ask all speakers to moderate the speed and clarity of their comments. At this time, I'll ask the clerk to call the roll to verify the presence of a quorum.
Councilmember Payne.
Present.
Wansley.
Present.
Rainville.
Present.
Vita.
Present.
Ellison is absent. Osman is absent. Cashman is absent. Jenkins is absent. Chiktai.
Present.
Koski.
Present.
Palmasano.
Present.
Vice Chair Chowdhury.
Present.
And Chair Chavez. There are 9 members present.
Let the record reflect that we have a quorum. Due to the cancellation of the Budget Committee yesterday, the only item for that committee has been referred to the Committee of the Whole for discussion today. We will take up that item after our first agenda item. Additionally, our first item is part of the Settlement, Agreement, and Consent Decree Oversight Subcommittee, so I will turn the meeting over to Council President Payne as the chair of that committee.
Thank you, Councilmember Chavez. We have a presentation from the Office of Police Conduct Review in response to a legislative directive. I will welcome up Russell Fujisawa to present on this item. Welcome.
Thank you, Council President. Good afternoon. My name is Russell Fujisawa. I'm the Associate Director of the Office of Police Conduct Review under the Civil Rights Department. Just a brief overview of our discussion today. We'll be taking a look at the OPCR organizational structure and staffing, both past and present. We'll take a brief look at the legislative directive language. We'll review the complaint review process in response to some of the requests today. Take a very brief look at our training and professional development and investment with the Office of Police Conduct Review. And as time allows, we'll take some questions. This, what you're looking at here, is the organizational structure as of July of 2024, when Director Michelle Phillips came to the city as the head of the Department of Civil Rights. I just really want to call your attention to the 8 vacancies, which represented nearly a 50% vacancy rate in the Office of Police Conduct Review, obviously during a time when there were already a significant backlog of cases and of work within the office. In contrast to what you're seeing here, this is the organizational structure as of today. Mainly, again, I want to call your attention to the 3 vacancies that remain, of which all 3 will be filled by May 22nd. So in less than a month, we will have gone to a fully staffed Office of Police Conduct Review from the 50% staffing that we had less than a year ago. The language of the legislative directive, obviously we're here today. I'm here with the Office of Police Conduct Review to talk about our intake process, the work that we're doing in our office, not only with staffing, but procedurally, operationally, training, development, responsiveness to the community need to have a greater presence to facilitate that complaint intake. Right? Additionally, it is how we are working to clear the current backlog, how we are working to prevent the future backlog. It's operationally, how do we match what is best practice for other municipalities, other cities, other departments under mandated reforms such as the settlement agreement and the consent decree. A lot of this can be accomplished, and a lot of the work that we're looking at through the legislative directive can be accomplished through our staffing and really the reorganization of the Office of Police Conduct Review. In July of 2024, right, not only did we have a nearly 50% vacancy rate, but the staffing just was not conducive to the body of work or what is in line with what is national best practice. As you can see, the 5 investigators that we did have in the Office of Police Conduct Review switched back and forth between intake and investigations, right? This contributed significantly to the backlog, right? It was a personnel challenge and a capacity challenge, but going back and forth between those 2 bodies of work is obviously going to create a backlog in one or the other, depending on where the focus is. Also, you'll notice that there was a lack of a proactive policy arm or response to the body of work through the case investigations to provide recommendations on policy development, training development, and really, again, to align with what is best practice across the country in alignment with cities and municipalities that have gone through mandated reforms. Looking at the current structure and the current staffing, I think I want to call first the attention to the 3 supervisor positions that have been created. And I will credit Director Michelle Phillips with a lot of this vision, but putting in this level of supervision above these different bodies of work within the Office of Police Conduct Review did a number of things. Created accountability for the staff that they supervise, increased the communications from the top down as well as from the bottom up to ensure that there is appropriate alignment and expectations, and also delineation of work across those different bodies of OPCR, right? We had that separation between, and now the separation exists between intake work, between investigations, and between the proactive policy and research work that is now staffed. I think it's not only do we have the personnel, but we have the right roles to support the body of work, to clear the backlog, but also to prevent a future buildup of cases as we have seen historically. I will note that this is the organizational structure and the roles as it stands right now. Obviously, over the next 6 to 12 months, we will continually assess to determine if there are additional capacity or personnel needs. Looking specifically at the intake process, the Office of Police Conduct Review is responsible for fielding police misconduct complaints that originate with members of the public. So that initial contact with our office is really what starts the intake process. Contacts can either be inquiries or complaints with our office. An inquiry is simply a question, it's feedback, it's an update on an existing case that may be with our office. We can also receive, contacts can also be deemed complaints, and complaints are the ones that have allegations of police misconduct. Throughout the entirety of the process of our office receiving contacts, complaints, inquiries, we are mandated by the settlement agreement and the consent decree to adhere to very strict timelines. That really guides a lot of the prioritization of our work and helps facilitate the efficient and effective clearance and handling of these cases and complaints. Throughout this process, we also, as appropriate, because we receive contacts from members of the public, we are also responsible for referring these out as appropriate to different jurisdictions where they're, where the complaint originates with a different department, with a different municipality, et cetera. It is our responsibility per the settlement agreement and per the consent decree to ensure that these complaints are routed appropriately to different agencies. I think really a foundational component to our work is communication with complainants. And I know we do so within the confines of the Minnesota Data Practice Act in terms of communicating what we can, when we can, with complainants in terms of updates on their case, need for additional information, conducting interviews, providing them status updates as permitted. But that's really a pivotal and foundational thing for our office to build that community trust through our process and through our work. As I discussed, our work starts as soon as we're contacted by a member of the public. We determine if it is a complaint and if there is an allegation of misconduct that is alleged. Those complaints come in through a number of ways, as you can see here. In person, people can call 311, people can call our office directly. There's an online complaint form. We have an email address. Complaints can be filed at precincts. They can be mailed via snail mail. We are just trying to eliminate as many barriers to filing complaints as possible. Once we do receive that complaint and it has been determined that there is an allegation of police misconduct with an MPD officer, it's our responsibility to analyze all the evidence that is available to us, and that's both from MPD and city systems as well as evidence that's provided by a complainant. Ultimately, it is a supervisory review decision that is made by myself as the Associate Director of the Office of Police Conduct Review on how to route that case for appropriate disposition. We'll take a look here at what those possible dispositions are after that intake process. So as you can see on the left, that complaint intake, that is that initial receipt of complaint and the investigation. Complaints can be handled, as you can see here, they can be dismissed, they can go through mediation, coaching or policy review, or a full administrative investigation. I will highlight the mediation component is still a work in progress under the settlement agreement and the consent decree. We have 3 staff members in our office who have recently, I think it was in February, completed mediation training, and they are qualified to serve as neutral mediators. We have had early conversations with the city attorney's Labor and Employment Office to determine if it is an option for those staff members to serve as the mediators in adherence with the paragraphs in the consent decree and the settlement agreement. But these are ultimately the ways through which a complaint goes through the intake process and is ultimately routed for these different dispositions. This is just a representation of the number of total contacts that our office has had over the last 12 months. So that's contacts, so that includes inquiries as well as complaints. You can see there are some abnormal spikes towards the end of 2024. I think this is in line with, honestly, with us having a better presence in community and doing the work, right? The more that we can get our work out there in the process and the filing mechanisms available to people, the more we will see complaints and inquiries coming into our office. And that's ultimately what we want to be doing. We want to eliminate that barrier to filing those complaints so that we can appropriately investigate and determine the appropriate routing for all of those complaints and investigations. I know there's been a lot of focus and a lot of attention on the backlog. Our office is working tirelessly to clear it as fast as we can. I think it's worth taking a look at what each of the arms of OPCR is doing specifically to address some of the concerns around the backlog and to prevent a future backlog from being presenting itself and being a challenge to the city and OPCR. I think for intake, really, it is around putting in that level of supervision to help with prioritization of cases, to help to make sure that there are appropriate, that we are delegating the appropriate caseloads to the appropriate intake staff based on complexity, based on their years of tenure and comfort. It's about professional development and training and equipping these investigators with the skills and the tools needed to thoroughly, accurately, fairly, timely conduct their investigations of the complaints that we receive. In terms of prevention, part of the settlement agreement and the consent decree work is creating a very, very detailed, comprehensive standard operating procedure that dictates and guides our investigations. And having that process codified in the SOP, the standard operating procedure, is really critical to investigators being comfortable with the work that they are tasked with doing. Looking at the administrative investigation side, it's about staffing, right? If we don't have investigators, we can't investigate the complaints, and we can't complete the process. Additionally, providing them with the appropriate training for conducting those investigations, again, in a fair, timely, efficient way. I will also highlight that we have an external investigator, Wiley Reber, that has supported some of our work during this process. I know when I started with OPCR at the end of October, they did not have access to city computers, city systems, and PD systems. So all of the requests for data, for evidence, for really any case materials was coming through our office. So not only were they not conducting their investigations in a timely manner, but they were also taking time away from the limited staff in our office to conduct their work. So since November, we've gotten them access, we've gotten them computers, we've gotten them access. They are much more self-sufficient now, and they are completing cases at a rate that's faster than what was initially negotiated in their agreement with the city. So we're really encouraged by that. We're really encouraged by our work internally, and some of that goes to the standard operating procedure, the SOP, the work templates that are in alignment with best practice across the country, that are establish a consistent expectation of a high quality product for an investigation that comes through our office. And again, that level of supervision really provides an opportunity for better collaboration, better check-ins, better transparency and accountability throughout the entire process for our investigators, our supervisors, and myself. The review panel backlog, even though an investigation leaves our office, it does not leave, it is not technically a completed investigation until it goes through the review panel and the chief ultimately makes their decision. So we have some work to do here as well. It's filling the vacancies on the CCPO, the Community Commission on Police Oversight. It's encouraging them to adopt and formalize a calendar that sets review panel dates over the course of the entire calendar year. It's improving our training and our onboarding process for those commissioners, especially as we anticipate a number of new commissioners starting in early June. We've worked with City IT to ensure that there are self-paced training modules that can be done, outside of business hours, outside of our schedule for OPCR to coordinate those. They are self-paced. They have assessments. They are more robust. They're similar to the e-learnings that we have in our city Comet system. So really trying to provide them with the tools to start to jump into role and be successful from day one. Additionally, we've had better communication. We've maintained better communication with CCPO leadership just to maintain the alignment in terms of what the priorities are right now in clearing the backlog. Additionally, as I referred to before, with our policy and research coordinator and the policy and research arm of OPCR, that is a direct requirement of the settlement agreement to have staff that supports the CCPO. And through the hiring, through our staffing, we have done so, and it is already paying dividends. We've had more review panels, I think year to date, than we did in I think the last quarter of 2024. And so I want to say that we are making significant progress. There is still a backlog that sits at the feet of the review panel and of OPCR, but we have the tools in place to really work through it and to complete it and to finish it off and to prevent it from happening again. And that leads to this. Generally, the structure of OPCR that exists now is more in line with what is best practice across the country. We have the personnel. We are training people. We're better prepared and better insulated from a shock shock similar to what we've seen in the past. We have better prioritization of the work, and some of that is dictated by the settlement agreement, but some of that is also, again, aligned with best practice and how we should be handling these complaints in a timely, in a fair, in an efficient way. On top of all of the work that we are doing and that we're tasked with doing as an office in terms of handling misconduct investigations, we're also working to build a better and stronger community presence and increase our community engagement. And this is, something that is a priority across all of civil rights, and that comes from Director Michelle Phillips. But I know there is a specific emphasis on OPCR having a stronger community presence because that's where our services exist, right? If we can't get to the people that need to file complaints, then we're failing. So we have had a number of concerted efforts to drive our community engagement. We've worked with NCR to build out our community outreach and engagement plan with our CCPO recruitment. I have met with a number of you and other council members and your staff to attend office hours, to attend ward meetings, to have a presence, to talk about what we do. We have recently met with the city personnel at the Lake Street Safety Center about having office hours. Now that we're fully staffed, we can plan to have OPCR investigators and other personnel in community at those sites to facilitate complaint intake, to conduct interviews. I know last week at the Public Health and Safety Committee meeting, an MOU for our external investigator was passed that would allow them to conduct their community interviews at the Lake Street Safety Center. This is obviously helping to provide a location that's more central for complainants. They don't have to come to City Hall. There's mass transit that's available there. It's just a more accessible way of conducting our interviews and conducting our work. With all the community partners that we meet with, that we talk with, that we try to educate on what we're doing, we also are having this similar conversation in terms of how complaints are filed, what happens with the complaints, what is the process look like. So it's very much word of mouth from the bottom up, but that's really where we're at. We need to engage with as many community members as possible to educate them about not only the services of OPCR, but also of civil rights broadly. We are in talks, in early conversations with trying to build a partnership with Minneapolis Public Schools because of the importance of youth development and understanding the importance of a relationship with public safety from a young age. So these are just some of the more intentional community engagement efforts that we have made that will hopefully facilitate complaint intake, that will build the trust, that will build the visibility of what our office is doing, not only OPCR, but civil rights more broadly. Very briefly, I mentioned that now that we have staff, we can invest in their development and give them opportunities for growth. We have all of our new investigators dating back to the ones that began shortly after I started in November have all participated in FBI internal affairs investigations. I had mentioned that we had 3 staff members complete mediation training. We have investigative and interrogation techniques training. The NACOL, so the National Association of Civilian Oversight for Law Enforcement, is coming on June 16th and 17th to train both OPCR and IA staff as well as new CCPO commissioners. Just on best practice, on conducting investigations, and just all of the things that are needed to equip our staff as well as commissioners to clear this backlog, to prevent a future backlog, but also to fulfill the requirements of the settlement agreement and the consent decree, but also just demonstrate what is best practice, right? We know that the consent decree and the settlement agreement are the floor for what needs to be implemented. So we're really trying to identify and implement what's best practice for our office and support others in doing so as well. So with that, if you have any questions or if you'd like to share this contact information for our office, please do so. But then I think we have a few moments for questions now that I'm done.
Thank you for that presentation. And before I go to questions, I want to recognize that we've been joined by Council Members Cashman, Jenkins, Osmond, and Ellison. And I am checking the queue. I'm not seeing anybody. I'll add myself. Just a general question around OPCR and just thinking about the overall accountability ecosystem that we exist within. I'm curious if you could explain or expand on how IA, OPCR, CCPO, and also we have our city auditor all as kind of independent or separate entities that should be connecting in some way to a comprehensive oversight system, let alone our independent evaluator. And Alifa, if you could just speak to how OPCR fits into that kind of like network.
Absolutely. We are very close partners with internal affairs. The SOP, the Standard Operating Procedure document, is a joint document. The intent after ALIFA and MDHR review it is to split so that we have independent documents, but they will be largely the same. So in terms of the investigative process, the development of such, that has been a very collaborative effort. Obviously there is a need for us to be in close contact and have a good relationship with internal affairs for a number of reasons. We're doing very similar work. We need to have open communication for appropriate referrals of cases, and there is a shared need for additional training. And so, as I mentioned, NACOL is coming to train our new CCPO staff our new CCPO commissioners, as well as some of our new staff. We have also invited internal affairs, both sworn and civilian investigators, to attend those trainings as well. So it's very much trying to cultivate a more collaborative environment. In terms of the city auditor's office, we have had conversations with them, especially around some individual cases where there have been some questions around investigations that our office has conducted, as well as investigations that overlap with investigations that they may be conducting. So we very much have conversations with other oversight bodies within the city, understanding that we have, our own respective jurisdictions, but understanding that, we need to be working together to ensure that, whoever owns the investigation, it is being done in the most thorough, efficient, effective, fair way possible.
Thank you. Councilmember Wansley.
Thank you, President Payne. I want to go back to slide 10, just to see if you could share thoughts on why specifically November 24 and December 2024, we saw a substantial uptick in inquiries, and I couldn't see the actual number attached to the complaints for December 2024.
So it looks like the total number of complaints for December 2024 was 28, and 174 inquiries. I can't speak to the specific number and what's contributing to that. I will say generally, because our office is so public facing, we do get lots of inquiries, and whether that's some of the questions, some of the feedback, or whether it's something that is not relevant to our work or even relevant to police misconduct investigations. But again, it is our job, and that is our responsibility and our staff's responsibility to make sure that those 174 inquiries, do not contain any element of police misconduct, and that requires a lot of time and a lot of close attention to detail to ensure that we're not overlooking what is a complaint. And so those 2 months, November, December, January, those were all particularly challenging, burdensome months, especially because, our staffing levels weren't what they are now. They obviously weren't what they were previously, but this puts a strain on our resources and on our time. But again, it's our responsibility to make sure that there are not allegations of misconduct within these 174 inquiries or any of the inquiries that we receive.
Yeah, especially connecting to the outreach piece. I know in the Public Health and Safety Committee, we've had lots of conversations with community partners, and I know you addressed that in slide 15 in terms of informational tutorials. I know we've had community organizations come before us and talk about some of the work that they're doing around complaint processes, and wanted to get a little bit more clarity of how you all are kind of relating to those groups. I don't believe we're funding any of them, so many of them are doing, it seems like, substantial complaint intake work through in-kind purposes. So just, wanted to get a little bit more clarity of how you all are tracking that, and making sure that they're staying trained and coordinated around a very sensitive process.
Yeah, absolutely. And Councilmember, are you referring to complaints that are received on behalf of our office?
I believe so.
Okay.
Yes, where there was, I believe it's 6 locations, at least that the groups presented to us, and I think you're aware of them specifically,
Yeah, thank you very much for the question, Councilmember Wansley. I would just add that we don't have any contracts with community organizations to do this work officially on behalf of the department. We certainly stay in very open communication with the community groups that are interested in helping facilitate folks getting connected to where they can make complaints, and are certainly in favor of continuing to have communications with those groups and ensuring that folks are aware of the process and the proper steps to get a hold of our Office of Police Conduct Review and be able to make those complaints. complaints.
Thanks. And has there been any discussion around looking at, it's great to see that you all are looking at partnership with MPS, but other government agencies or, for instance, county partners, especially, I think, services that provide support to our unhoused or unsheltered residents. Those are folks who typically come in contact with law enforcement. So just thinking through, if you've looked at some other partnerships that will allow you to get in front of the public a little bit more frequently too.
And thank you, Councilmember. That's exactly what we're trying to do. So now, now that we have the staff and the capacity to do so, trying to understand what how to prioritize that engagement, where, we have the most impacted populations, where we have the most disproportionately impacted populations historically from an access standpoint. But really now we're having those conversations about how, because previously, we had such limited capacity. There was such a large body of work. There still remains a backlog that we are working through, but we have a little bit of breathing room, and increasingly more as we accomplish more and more of the work to prioritize this engagement and to have more targeted, more focused engagement to address some of the populations that you discussed specifically.
Okay, awesome. And then with the partnership with MPS, similar to the Lake Street Center, should we anticipate a MOU of some sort to formalize that once that does get kind of done?
I think that's dependent on MPS. They are, after some initial conversations, they're taking it to their parent and family advisory councils to see if there's an appetite or an interest at that level, right? They didn't want to make the groups that we connected with didn't want to make the decision on behalf of parents and families. So we're waiting for a response and just further discussion. But if that's the path, we'll sort of see as we go and just assess.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank
That's all
you.
the questions.
Councilmember Jenkins.
Thank you, Chair. I guess my question is literally about that same slide. I thought it was pretty interesting, but I'm just curious, do you know what the nature of the inquiries are at offhand?
Offhand, no. I mean, it ranges, again, as what I discussed, so feedback, trying to get an update on an existing case or complaint, a totally unrelated, how do I, do X, Y, and Z? How do I, check what my property tax is? So, it runs the gamut of, from adjacent to police misconduct to not even remotely relevant to our office. But again, it is we're required to make sure that there is, one, not an allegation of police misconduct, and then two, if appropriate, if there is, but it's not our jurisdiction, get that to the appropriate entity or jurisdiction, municipality, et cetera. So, I can't speak to what was driving those. I will say that historically, even prior to my time, we have seen an increasing number of contacts with our office, and some are rooted in allegations of misconduct, but have seen a trend upwards of contacts that are related to some concerns in mental health. And so we're trying to address that as well in terms of providing the proper response, even from our office, in terms of how to help and handle situations like this with people in crisis. And again, that's another opportunity for professional development, for skill development for our office, now that we're staffed, to appropriately, address those needs as they arise, but also to help, divert where appropriate to get more appropriate help and support.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting as well that pretty much the number of complaints remain relatively similar from month to month.
Mm-hmm.
Very interesting. Thank you.
Councilmember Palmisano.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Hello. Do you have a sense, or rough percentages seem tough, but just like a proportionality of the way complaints end up getting dispositioned afterwards? Like, how many of them get dismissed, mediated, handled administratively, or go to the review panel? Do you have any kind of general thumbnail on that, or does it change frequently?
It's variable. roughly, and this even goes, again, prior to my time, there's sort of this estimate that nearly 20% of the contacts or complaints that we get ultimately result in, full investigations. But that varies widely. I mean, obviously, looking at the trends here, that's going to vary, almost 100% in some of these months. So I can't put a consistent number on, or a percentage on those cases.
But for planning purposes, you are then planning that approximately 20% of a period, a longer period than just 1 month, would then be going.
Yeah, and that's
would need that extra review panel time and scheduling and all that.
Yeah, and so that's been sort of the moving target, right? And it's from a staffing perspective. It's also from staffing the CCPO, right? With the 7 vacancies that existed, that is 7 fewer commissioners that can sit on review panel. So
Right.
No matter how fast we're moving this potentially 20% of cases through our office to review panel and subsequently the chief's office, then it creates this backlog that sits at the review panel. And, because the OPCR is responsible for staff support of the CCPO, that is something that we are, obviously mandated to do in terms of supporting. And that was, obviously a huge challenge prior to this recent recruitment for the CCPO commission seats for whose terms are ending in May. So we wanted to obviously ensure that we were doing a robust recruitment, a thorough vetting, appropriate recommendations to the council members for their appointees, so that we can make sure that we are, staffing appropriately internally and staffing the commission appropriately, having that alignment with CCPO leadership, that clearing the backlog is our priority right now.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. That's understood. And congratulations on this reorganization and the significant headway that you've made on filling vacancies. I appreciate this new structure, and I think it probably will end up in a better system despite a lot of fluctuation, as you say. Thanks.
Thank you.
Seeing no one else in queue, I will ask the clerk to receive and file this item, and I will return the chair back to Councilmember Chavez.
Thank you, President Payne. Now we will move on to our only discussion item, which is the appointed director of the environmental programs position within the health department. Remember, this item was referred to Cal from the budget committee yesterday. I'll invite Brenda Miller from our human resource department to come up and speak on that item. Welcome.
Chair Chavez, I need just a moment to load my presentation.
No worries.
Thank you. Chair Chavez and members of the committee, I'm Brenda Miller with the Classification and Compensation Department, and today I'm here to present for your consideration the new Director of Environmental Programs position. The Director of Environmental Programs is in the Health Department and reports to the Deputy Commissioner of Health, Sustainability, Environment, and Healthy Homes. It was it was recently converted in 2022 to the Deputy Commissioner of Health and Sustainability Environment. So this position existed previously, and this is for a new Director of Environmental Programs. The Director of Environmental Programs oversees the Environmental Programs Business Unit for the Health Department. It was evaluated at 563 points, grade 12. The salary schedule for 2025 ranges from $126,000 to $149,000. The 2025 incremental costs will be paid from Health Department program funds, and changes are effective May 1st of 2025. This position meets the criteria of Section 201010 of the Minneapolis Code of Ordinances. It reports to the Deputy Director, Health, Sustainability, and Healthy Homes. It's a member of the Health Department's management team. It leads the development and implementation of city policy, goals, and strategic planning for the Health Department Environmental Programs Business Unit. It requires leadership, vision, team building, and strategy implementation. And lastly, it establishes policies, goals, and strategies that are consistent with the goals and priorities established by the Minneapolis City Council, the mayor, and the Commissioner of Health. We're asking that you find that the Director of Environmental Programs meets the appointed criteria as defined in Section 201010 of the Minneapolis Code of Ordinances and forward it to Council for approval. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Is anybody on queue? Alrighty. Thank you for being here. We appreciate it. Seeing that there is no discussion, I'll move approval of this item. Can I get a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say nay. Any abstentions? And that motion carries. Finally, colleagues, we will receive reports from the standing committees on matters to be considered by the full council meeting. We will begin with the Administration and Enterprise Oversight Committee. Councilmember Wansley.
Thank you, Chair Chavez. The Administration and Enterprise Oversight Committee is bringing forward 31 items to council this cycle. The first is a gift acceptance from New York University for travel, lodging, conference registration, and meal expenses for Amanda Harrington to attend the 2025 Advancing the Field of Alternative Response Convening Conference in June. 2 is a gift acceptance from the National Association of County and City Health Officials of Registration, Lodging, and Airfare for Damone Chaplin to attend the NACCHO 360 Conference in July. 3 is a gift acceptance from the Aspen Institute of Registration, Lodging, and Airfare for Damone Chaplin to attend the Aspen Ideas Festival Conference in June. 4 is a gift acceptance from the local Public Health Association of Registration, Lodging, Airfare for Sebastiana to attend the Sophie Annual Conference in April. 5th is, or number 5 is a gift acceptance from the POLAB Foundation for Travel, Lodging, Conference Registration, and meal expenses for Melanie Rucker and Jared Jeffries to attend 2025 Advancing the Field of Alternative Responses Convening Conference in June. 6th is a gift acceptance from the National Association of City Transportation Officials of Travel Stipend Conference Registration and Travel and Lodging Expenses for Adam Hayo to attend the NACDO's Designing Cities 2025 Conference. 7 is a bid for Hawthorne Office Build-Out Project from Morcon Construction, Inc. 8 is a bid for lead service line replacements year 2 project from Triple E Water and Sewer LLC and M&B Services LLC. 9 is a bid for sidewalk replacement program 2025 from Concrete Idea, Inc. 10 is a bid for Ramp C waterproofing and structural repairs project from Ram Construction Services of Minnesota LLC. 11 is a bid for 12 signals and curb ramp improvement project from Thomas & Sons Construction, Inc. 12 is a joint powers agreement with Minneapolis Public Schools or its affiliates for a dance education program. 13 is a contract with the Native American Community Development Institute for fiscal agent services for the American Indian Memorandum of Understanding for Metropolitan Urban Indian Directors. 14 is contracts with various vendors to reduce greenhouse gas emissions. 15 is contract with Speak Minneapolis LLC for public community media access services to manage public access television. 16 is establish a consulting pool of 18 vendors for IT staff augmentation consultant services. 17 is contracts with neighborhood associations qualifying for the Neighborhoods 2020 Share Resources and Collaborations Fund. 18 is contract amendments with Claire Housing for HIV site-based housing supportive services. 19 is contract amendment with Touch Outreach for youth group violence intervention services. 20 is contract amendment with 5 immigration legal services providers offering free immigration legal services to city residents. 21 is a contract amendment with CoStar Realty Information, Inc. for access to real estate information database. 22 is contract amendment with Certified Languages International LLC for remote interpreting services. 23 is contract amendment with Axon Enterprise, Inc. for software licenses for body-worn cameras for the police department. 24 is contract amendment with Mid-Minnesota Legal Aid for legal services to support low-income Minneapolis renters. 25 is contract amendment with Northland Business Systems for transcription services and cloud hosting migration. 26 is claim settlement, Blaisdell Portfolio LLC. 27, claim settlement, various claims concerning 43rd and Upton stormwater flooding. 28, legal settlement, workers' compensation claim of David Vincent. 29, legal settlement, Michelle Gross and Janet Nye v. City of Minneapolis. 30, separation ordinance overview within the police department. And 31, bid for Minneapolis Convention Center meeting rooms remodel phase 3 project from Sheehy Construction Company. And with that, I will stand for any questions.
Wow, thank you.
I know it's long.
It looks like no one is on queue, so thank you. We'll go on to the Business, Housing, and Zoning Committee. I'll pass it to Councilmember Osman.
Thank you, Chair Chavez. The Business, Housing, and Zoning Committee will be bringing 17 items to the Thursday council meeting. Item 1 is approving a permanent expansion for premises license for Mothership Pizza Paradise. Item 2 is approving a rental hall license for Royal Stone Square. Item 3 is approving liquor and entertainment license for Froyo Soul. Item 4 is approving a liquor license for Habanero Tacos. Item 5 is considering a permanent expansion of premises license for State Fair Brewing. This item was sent forward without recommendation. Just received an email that the two parties have met and they are okay with us approving this forward on Thursday. Item 6 is a passage of resolution approving the TIF plan for the Snelling Yards Family Housing. Item 7 is approving 2 liquor license. Item 8 is approving 41 liquor license renewals. Item 9 is approving and authorizing BTAP contract. Item 10 is approving and authorizing DTAP contract. Item 11 is the passage of resolution granting final approval of revenue bond for the NAC housing project. Item 12 is a passage of resolution approving the spring 2025 brownfield grants. Item 13 is a passage of resolution approving appropriation for demolishing the structure at 1001 West Broadway. Item 14 is accepting a grant from the Best Friends Animal Society for travel fees. Item 15 is authorizing terms on extension for Green Belt Development Project. Item 16 is authorizing the city to enter into exclusive rights agreement for federally owned property near Upper St. Anthony Falls. Lastly, approving the development. Item 17, development framework for the new Nicollet Mall project. With that, I'll stand for any questions. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. I'll pass it to Councilmember Ellison.
Councilmember Osman already covered it, but I just wanted to reiterate item 5 for the Fair State expansion. If folks were wondering, why is there questions around Fair State? Not really questions, but one of their neighbors came by, was disputing an easement there, and as Councilmember Osman said, we recently got word from staff that the two parties have resolved and had a conversation. So we will be bringing this forward for approval.
All right, good news. Thank you. Next up, we have the Climate and Infrastructure Committee. I'll pass it to Councilmember Cashman.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Climate and Infrastructure Committee is bringing forward 7 items. Item 1 is designating and setting a public hearing for the 2025 Fulton Residential Street Resurfacing Project. Item 2 is approving the concept layout for the 35th Avenue North Flood Mitigation Project. Item 3 is approval of a MnDOT lease amendment allowing rental of parking lots under the I-94 bridge. Item number 4 is approving appointments to the 54th and Lyndale Special Service District Advisory Board. Item 5 is approving appointments to the Eat Street Special Service District Advisory Board. Item 6 is authorizing the submittal of a grant application to the Minneapolis Foundation for the EPA Environmental Justice Thriving Communities Grant-Making Program. And item 7 is authorizing the submittal of a grant application to the Bush Foundation for the Community Innovation Grant. I'll stand for questions on these items.
Thank you. And next up, we have the Intergovernmental Relations Committee. I'll pass it to Vice Chair Chowdhury.
We just have one item. It's a receive and file on federal and state legislative updates, but nothing to send to council.
Thank you. And lastly, we have the Public Health and Safety Committee. I'll pass it to Councilmember Wansley.
Thank you, Chair Chavez. All right. The Public Health and Safety Committee will be bringing forward 9 items. Number 1 is a passage of ordinance related to civil rights, adding new protected classes, bolstering enforcement, and amending procedures for efficiency. Councilmember Wansley and Chavez, that's where I'm reading that as third person. But we will be bringing a motion to council with technical amendments, so we'll also be sending an email, and council members can reach out with questions by Thursday if they have them. Number 2 is accepting NEHA FDA Retail Flexible Funding Model Grant from the Food and Drug Administration. Number 3 is authorizing a contract for service agreement with the University of Minnesota for the Prevention Research Center Core Research Project. Number 4 is accepting a grant from the Minnesota Department of Health for a sex trafficking awareness media campaign. Number 5 is authorizing a MOU with Wiley Weber Law for utilizing space in the Lake Street Safety Center. 6 is accepting the Edward Bryan Memorial Justice Assistance Grant to support police and attorney office initiatives. Number 7 is authorizing a MOU with Corner House. 8 is authorizing revenue contracts with SMG for law enforcement services at US Bank Stadium. And then number 9 is authorizing an increase to a contract with Fairview Health Services for continued implementation of a nutrition-focused chronic disease prevention project. And with that, I will stand for any questions.
Thank you. I'll pass it to Councilmember Palmisano.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just wanted to offer a little bit of clarification. Thank you very much to the authors, Councilmember Chavez and Councilmember Wansley. We heard so much overwhelming support and important stories during the public hearing on the Civil Rights Ordinance about discrimination in ways we sometimes like to imagine would never occur. There was also one speaker, Commissioner Birdquist, that brought up concerns about small changes to make, and we've thoroughly gone back and gotten additional review from Civil Rights in our City Attorney's Office. Thank you to Alex Kane for that additional look. And it's my understanding that you'll be bringing one minor modification for Thursday, and it will be toward the goal. This is to explain to my colleagues this little change. It's toward the goal of avoiding confusion. The potential misinterpretation could lead people in the ordinance to believe they could simply choose to go to district court instead of getting their case heard before the Civil Rights Commission, and that's not the case. So this small little wording change just hopes to clear that up. So thanks for letting me explain that, and thank you for considering that change.
Thank you, Councilmember Palmisano, and you are correct. And we are working through the amendments right now to pass to our clerk's team to make sure that we get them ready for Thursday. And that is one of the changes. The rest is just about the definition of height and weight, which is some feedback we received, and we knew it prior to the public hearing, but we want to at least wait until full council. So I appreciate that, and that will be a change we're hoping to get approval from this body on Thursday. And I know that we had other council members reach out, like Councilmember Rainville as well, who was also reaching out about this too. So I appreciate you all staying engaged in this. Seeing that there aren't any more comments or questions on this, I will, we're done. With that, we've completed all business to come before the committee today, and hearing no objection, I will declare this meeting adjourned. Thank you.
I was like, there's nothing.